So what am I doing? No clue. Super proud dad, blessed husband. My wife and I try to divide the chores up. I enjoy cooking. Don't really know what I'm doing. However, she knows less. So I thought this is a good opportunity to win some points there. A little bit of fusion, let's try to find things around, but also this is an opportunity for me to learn from you as well. Not a gourmet chef, don't have the gourmet ingredients most of the time, so trying to like work with what we've got in the fridge, usually shop at Costco, making it all work. So let's try to do this together. Let's try to have some fun. Perhaps we'll combine some Latin flavors with a little bit of Canadian mixed in with Italian. I don't know. I'm thinking Masa Pizza. So what we got here, now my wife has some personal / health reasons for wanting a limited diet. So she's been trying this for a while and I'm trying to meet her in the middle, trying to make at least our dinners that we have as a family together match that. So trying to stay away from gluten, very little dairy, almost no sugar. Of course, things that you buy at the grocery store, they're gonna have a lot of those things in them already. You can stay away obviously by reading the labels, but especially sugar, that's something difficult to stay away from. So I thought, how can we make this sort of a gluten-free pizza that's fun to eat and it's filling and kind of healthy? Well, what if we use masa dough instead of regular pizza dough? How do we do that? Well, first, let's put our apron on. Don't always wear aprons, but a little bit of a messy thing to make masa. What we have here is what the bag calls Maseca. So that's just a name brand, but it's just corn flour. And we're gonna put it in a bowl. This is pre-done for you. Super simple. Add some lukewarm water. Dough, let's add some more, but I'm certain that that is not too much. So I'm okay with starting out less. We don't want food waste. You can touch it. If it's not sticking to, if it comes off of your finger easily and doesn't leave like a residue, then you know that it's actually pretty good consistency. We're gonna mix it around with the fingers and hands, just keep spinning it and flipping it over. And what we wanna do is we wanna pick up all those loose bits down there because we don't want it to be that when somebody bites into it, they have a mouthful of flour, you know, and just that awful taste. But we also don't want pockets where it's undercooked. I like to clean as I go. It's one of my pet peeves to have all of the dishes that you've used and all of the different utensils and everything while you're going. I already have a small kitchen as it is, so I feel a bit overwhelmed and all of that stuff's kind of encroaching on me. I turned the oven 450 degrees. That's been going. It hasn't actually even beeped yet to tell me that it's done. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm just gonna get a regular old pizza stone. I would say this is about a medium-sized pizza stone. Okay, so I actually have another stone here. So what I think I'm gonna do is, if you've ever used a tortilla press, you know, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's cheating, it's convenience. You take one piece of parchment paper, you put the dough, you take another piece of parchment paper, and you put a giant, like the press comes down, squishes it out. I have no idea if this is gonna work. Let's pat it nice and tight. Put that there, parchment paper on top. Then we can take this pizza stone and try to do it right in the center and give it a squish. Put all your weight on it. Decent. So we still have good 1.5 inches, and it's gonna be way too thick if we keep it like that. Let's try to push it out just using a rolling pin. Feel for the edges. They're pretty good there, pretty good here. Okay, so the nice thing about this type of a dough, you can really manipulate it with your fingers. Parchment paper. Well, why don't we just take this like that. Flip it over. Then we can take this one away. And we can just peel that off. and we're good to go. So now, before we would not want to use this raw masa to put our toppings, because the toppings are going to burn, disintegrate to nothing before the dough itself is actually cooked. So what we need to do is put this in on its own and cook it one side for about 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to take it out, use the 2 stone trick again, flip it over and put it back on the other side. But while that's going, we can prepare our toppings. Okay, let's season the chicken. Put the pan on to medium heat. Put a little bit of oil on the pan. Salt. A little bit of Italian. Just a little sprinkle. All right, let's just drop these in the pan. A bit of a sizzle. Probably could have waited a few more minutes, but we're also under a time crunch. This is not a commercial kitchen. This is families waiting for their dinner. And as much as I'd love for everything to be perfect, it's never gonna happen. While that's going, we've got another pan heating up over here. And we're gonna throw just some corn niblets on it. We don't even need to add oil. So here we've got, this is crushed garlic, just literally just fresh garlic crushed, pre-done for you, which is super convenient. Generous amount there. Just the last bit of nub from there. Put it in the pan. Just give that a bit of a, you don't want too much on there. So that's going. Check on our chicken. Getting darkened on the other. Oh, the skin's gonna cook real fast. It's gonna look like it's cooking fast. So, just dried a little bit, chunk, just a little bit. That's perfect. Okay, now we're gonna take our second stone. Place it on there. Now don't forget, the one that we just flipped, this is going to be the really hot one. Okay, so I'm just going to place this over here on top of this skillet. It could really burn you if you forget about it. Now the other side is going to be a little bit raw still. Just another couple minutes. We don't want it to dry out either. These are the type of meals that you can make with, just improvising. And also without, limited skills, limited equipment, we'll work through it together. Because we press it out fairly thin, it's almost like a giant tortilla at this point. We can maybe even get a spatula. Just kind of see how it is. It's not sticking or anything. Perfect. I could lie and say, we're going to whip up some special recipe pizza sauce. Right now we're just going to use a squirt bottle of pizza sauce. A tiny, not too much, because we're going to mix it. So this is just garlic basil pizza squeeze. Again, I mentioned about trying to stay away from the sugar. This does have sugar in it. If we get more, if I had more time, you can maybe just try with a pizza sauce, with tomato sauce, a little bit of basil, a little bit of hot sauce. So here we have some habanero. This is actually Jalisco. It's actually from El Salvador. So we're just going to do a couple dashes. Made by my mother-in-law. Delicious. She's taught me how to make them. I can never make them quite as good, but for anyone who is one of our Latin viewers, of course, this is a staple in a Latin home. My wife is of Latin descent. I have the luxury of having her mom become my mom and her showing me lots of different ingredients, lots of different dishes. So we're gonna know, just use the back of the spoon to spread around the beans and mix it in with the sauce, the 2 different sauces you put underneath. Okay, so let's just grate some cheese that's going to go on top. Again, I mentioned my wife tries to stay away from dairy. I will notify her ahead of time, hey, thinking about making this for dinner, what do you think? And she'll say, nothing for me, or can you make mine without cheese, or you can make mine without, typically it's cheese, I'm not going to use milk, so just without cheese. In this case, we're going to do a little bit of just marbled cheddar. I'm also going to do some Parmesan on it. Again, mixing up cultures. I know you wouldn't necessarily, although Parmesan cheese does go into the quesadilla dessert in El Salvador. So we're just going to take that big old hunk of Parmesan to kind of add to that glue. This corn is pretty much, we've had it going at a super high heat. We're getting a good char on it just for fun. But char can suddenly go from a novelty to totally wrong very quickly. If you get that burnt taste in your mouth when you're eating your food, no one wants that. And the only reason I'm really doing it, I mean, you're gonna get moisture from the spinach as it heats up, and there's a lot of water in there. But it just adds some greens to the meal. Put it right over top of there, maybe half of it. So hopefully it's cooled down by now. Just kind of, yep, perfect. Check it at the fingers. Okay, now we're gonna just spread it around as even as we can. Now let's just pop that in the oven. 10 minutes or so. Remember, a lot of that chicken was semi-raw, so we want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. So normally when I cook, gotta have music on. It's there to inspire. It's there to be the soundtrack to the time that you're spending lonesome in your kitchen while your family's off doing who knows what. It's your solace. But the peace and quiet doesn't work for me. I need the music. Now, due to copyright laws, I can't really get the music that I would love to have in the background while we're doing this together, but I can give you some recommendations. So thinking with the meal that we just made, it would be cool to talk about a fusion, a little bit of the Latin mixed with sort of the North American flavors and just kind of putting my own spin on it. Somebody that I thought of, Charlie Crockett, just came out with a new album this past Friday. The title track of that album, called the album Lonesome Drifter, the song Lonesome Drifter. Pop that track on, blast it nice and loud while you're making this Masa Pizza. You will thank me after. Alright, I also am excited. Spring training is nearly coming to an end. My M's this year, are we going all the way? We say that every year. Long-suffering Mariners fan. Still love them to death. Excited about that. We're going to maybe cook together as we work towards the spring, at the end of spring training, and we work towards the start of the season. And maybe we can even use some of our meals to revolve around the schedule depending on what's going on. But we're crazy baseball fans in this house. Well, I am, and I kind of forced the ladies to become that as well. Heck, even named my dog Griffey after the great Ken Griffey Jr. So while the pizza now is pretty much finishing up, maybe a minute or two more, get a little crust on top of the cheese. Let's take some fresh cilantro here and just take a couple good handfuls. And it's already washed. And we're going to put the guacamole, we're going to put some of the cilantro on top, maybe a couple dashes more of hot sauce just on the top. And let's put some raw onion on top. Just really flavor bomb on top. My family always makes fun of me with the holding the breath. There we go. Alright, so now let's just finish it off. So my daughter said she doesn't want any cilantro, doesn't want any onions on top, and she doesn't want the guac on top. She wants it on the side. And then finish with our Jalisco, just 1, 2, 3 drops. Delicious. So good. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sneaking into with our family, seeing the type of things we can make with just simple ingredients, short on time, and trying to just make it imaginative. I'm going to walk you through the next video how we kind of try to work as a family to come up with what to make this week. Try to use as much of a low budget as we can. We're all trying to make things interesting, nutritional, and exciting so that no one gets tired of it. But also it's hard for the one who's making the meals to always be the one that comes up with it. But for now, thanks for joining me. This is Dad Can Kinda Cook.